let's say we're coloring with some red, shading, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to make this as smooth as possible, not letting my pencil marks be obviously overlapping in some way, kind of working all over to fill the area. And let's say that we come to a part of our object, and it could be red, it could be purple, it could be any color, and we want it to be darker. Well, actually, let's go lighter at first. So if I'm more aware of what the pencil feels like in my hand, or I scooch my hand back a little bit, I can press lighter and, I can grip the pencil lighter and get a lighter value. I can allow a little bit more paper to show through and, just pay attention to what the pencil tip feels like on the page, and it's pretty light. But what happens if I want to go darker in value? Now, come back over here. Generally speaking, what people are going to do is just press a little bit harder. And I can do that. I can still get it to kind of fade out or blend in with the values that I had. I can start to press even harder and get the transition to be fairly seamless. That is oftentimes what people will, out of habit, do. Because if we just used a regular pencil, graphite pencil, that's how you get darker values. You press harder. You cover more of the page with more graphite, both by more pressure and by allowing less of that white paper to show up. And this works. If we were to do a monochromatic or one color drawing, just like a pencil drawing is going to be a one material drawing, right? It's it is one color, so to speak, that gray of the graphite. And you can get your transition to be pretty seamless here. Clearly, we're getting a transition from darker to medium dark to medium up to light. And this isn't ideal. And this isn't perfect, but it works. The question is, how do we put more complexity in there? And basically, the answer is just using more color. So I'll start in the same way. But what I want to do is move my pencil marks around, and I'm actually going to leave quite a bit of white paper poking through there. And I don't really like the way that pencil looks, but what I want to remember is, just like with paint, anytime I combine two colors together, the value is going to be darker than what I initially started with. The next question sort of becomes, well, what colors do you use? And in truth, it doesn't really matter. I think about a dark blue. I could have an even darker blue, but this is called a Tuscan red. It's like a brownish red, even like a purple or a green, partly because green is a complementary color to our red. So what I want to start doing is layering. And I don't have to worry about every color filling every part of the red area that I have started with. But what I want to start to do is just get... Ooh, this one is not showing up well. What I want to start to do is just get some of those colors in there. That's not great. Put that off to the side. Come to one of my blues in here. I'll layer some more red. And ideally, what I'm doing is getting almost as many layers as possible. Eventually, I will, let's grab a brown in here. Eventually, I will start to press a little bit harder. I just don't want to quite get there yet. I might even try out a couple of different reds in order to get some complexity in there. And a lot of times I'll just start with a cool color, like a coolish neutral brown, a purple or a blue, as I want my values to get darker. As I transition to lighter values, I don't have fewer colors or layers of color. I just transition the colors. So I might go to oranges or yellows or a sky blue or a pink along with my red. So I'll start working this out. I'm going to come with that darkest blue. Kind of only get a little bit in there. And I'm pressing just a touch harder. But while I want red to be my overarching noticeable color, when you look at this, you want to say, oh, well, that's a dark red. I also want some other colors to be coming in there in order to create more sophisticated and complex, quote unquote, mixes. And you should be able to see some of that transition and some of that difference in there. And in a sort of value scale like this, it may not look as important or substantial. But as you get into drawing objects, the real world is fairly complex. Brown isn't really brown. Brown is a mixture of a bunch of different colors. And if you really look closely, you will start to see a bunch of different colors in that brown. And it could be blue, it could be orange, it could be purple, it could be pink or teal or aqua or anything like that. And we want to honor those different colors that we see in the natural world and try to duplicate them in as visually interesting of a way as possible. So in terms of the beginning of working from darker red to lighter red, and the same goes for any color. Could be green, could be purple, could be blue. What we want to do is layer a bunch of different colors in there. Instead of just pressing harder with our red to pressing lighter, we want to get some colors in there and then just transition not just our pressure, but also our layering of colors going on in there. And what I've done is I've used all of these different colored pencils. A couple of different browns, a couple of different reds, a couple of different blues, a green, an orange, actually a couple of different oranges. And that way we can get something that is more sophisticated and visually interesting, especially as we begin to transition into drawing objects themselves. Practice that, keep that in mind, and as always, have fun.